Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this video, we'll be discussing the second movie in the Chronicles of Narnia series, which is the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, which came out in 2008. And this is the sequel to to the 2005 live-action version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is, of course, the first book in the Narnia series. And, of course, Disney made these movies. Of course, the only other movie of the Narnia books was the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and was previously, like I mentioned in that review, for those of you who have seen it, it mostly focused on the animated cartoon, which came out in 1979. You also compared it with the live-action version, which I know I didn't do a separate video with a live-action movie, but I actually quite like the live-action version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because I thought it was quite good. Excuse me. And it pretty much followed the animated cartoon, and I compared both of them equally in that video. So check it out if you've ever seen it. Well, Prince Caspian was the second book in that series. We don't really know for sure because I never really read the original series. But Prince Caspian, this is the first time that any of the books the Narnia series has been made into a movie. Because like I just said, only the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe has been made to a movie twice. And none of the other books in that series, which I was kind of surprised of. Because Lord of the Rings series, all those books, or the 3 books, were made to an animated film, like 30 years before, at least 30 years, 25 or 30 years before Peter Jackson came along. So I was surprised that none of the other Narnia books were made into a either an animated film or an animated film before the live action films did. Anyway, Prince Caspian, even though it was made 3 years after the original film in 2008, now when the original film came out in 2005 actually, the sequel, Prince Caspian, was made in 2008, and it was surprisingly real good. Even though it takes place 3 years later, in reality, but the movie series it only took place like approximately about a year later, and the 4 kids all reprised the roles from the original film. I'm talking about Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. All 4 of them, like I said, going to school, and they were at the train station, and all of a sudden they magically get transported to Narnia. Well, there was a sequence before then of Prince Caspian, or I should mention that it was only in the reality in this film, it was only about a year after the previous adventures in Narnia, when they defeated the White Witch and freed Narnia from her reign. But in Narnia, because they have a different timeline than in the reality that these kids live in London, 1,300 years have passed since Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy left. Mysteriously left. So this time, people or humans from another town, another country, invaded Narnia. So now all the creatures that we all like the beavers or Mr. Tumnus, the fawns, they all either were killed off or they went hiding somewhere because the country was taken over by humans now. And at that point, there was this Prince Moritz, who was pretty much in control of the area, really, and in control of Narnia almost, pretty much killed almost all the Narnians off, and he didn't have an heir yet. And his wife finally gave birth, not only gave birth to an heir, but gave birth to a son, which, okay, you could pass everything down to him. Now we don't need my nephew, who was Prince Caspian, because this guy killed his own brother, so that he won't stand in his way because his brother has an heir and he doesn't. And now he got his brother out of the way. Now we get Prince Caspian out of the way, so they're trying to get him killed. He goes off into the forest, goes into the forest in Narnia, and he's protected by other Narnians, other dwarfs who, years ago, fought for the White Witch, and now all of a sudden trying to fight to keep humans out, or at least keep these people out, because Moritz was an evil character, and they try to keep him out of there because he invaded Narnia. So that's him trying to fight to keep their land, even though before they tried to destroy it with the when they fought. Excuse me for my here. Trying to fight with the White Witch before in the previous film, and of course, Caspian's teacher gave him a horn, which happens to be Susan's horn from the previous film. It said, blow this horn and help will come. And according to the superstition, previous kings and queens will come into Narnia. I'll come back to Narnia and help us out. So when Caspian gets into the woods, he blows the horn, and that was when the four kids, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy, come back into Narnia. And they go, well, where were we? And so where do you think we are? We're back here in Narnia. And of course they're trying to find out what's going on. And Susan at one point says, that's because I got used to living back home in England, now I'm back here. And they realize that, and for some crazy reason, I guess with the deep magic, I guess, that the four kids didn't convert or revert to where they were, or how old they were when they left in the first movie, which I think was kind of weird. There was one major. I don't know if that was in the books or not, but there was one major plot point. Hey, how come they didn't revert to when they were, or how old they were when they left Narnia in the previous story, the previous film? That was really the one major plot point with this film. And then you find out what's going on, and it's trying to help Caspian out, and so why should we help you out? When they realize that Cair Paravel, the castle of the Four Thrones has been destroyed by Moritz and his armies, and when they invaded Narnia, that was destroyed. And everything the four kids have fought for in the previous film were all destroyed by this guy. So Caspian and all the other creatures that are still there in Narnia told the four kids, hey, what happened, and can you help us? And so, well, we're doing the best we can, and they're trying to wait for maybe Aslan to show up, the famous line was voiced by Liam Neeson, and see if they got him out. And it looks like they're not going, and about 3/4 of the way through the film, it looks like they're not going to show up. So they had to do everything on their own, without Aslan's help, which, major spoiler, he does help, but it's like 3/4 of the way through the film when he finally does lend a hand and help out and fight and defeat the evil people in this film. But they do have a couple good action scenes in this film, and I think it's because of the era of CGI that these movies will be able to be made. Kind of like what happened with Lord of the Rings, because those movies, for a long time, were turned to be unmakeable, because no one will be able to make these films because of the special effects were at that time, especially in the 70s and 80s, especially when the time of Star Wars and everything else came out. Even at that time, in the 80s, you didn't have the special effects to pull off those films. Now we do, and it's great to see these movies are even being made. Because, like I said earlier, only one of the Narnia book was made into a film, and that was the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, an animated cartoon. And now they're being made into live-action films. And they did make a third film. I saw part of it, but not the whole thing. But the focus on Prince Caspian now. So Prince Caspian does help the four kids out, trying to get even with Caspian's uncle. And they had one big battle at his castle, which was a pretty good sequence. even though like 4 kids, their idea turned to pot, and then at first it was working out, and then Caspian decided to not follow through on Peter's plan and try to rescue his professor, and by doing that, they got caught, and most of the army was killed off. Not all of them, but a good chunk of them were killed off by the Moritz and his army, and they said, okay, what can we do now? We know they're going to come after us. And so Peter said, so somebody came up with the idea, hey, or Caspian came up with the idea, oh, why don't we do this? Because they know that their army is bigger than our army, and they could wipe us out in a day. So why don't we do it this way? And we can challenge Moritz to a duel, which Peter does, being the oldest and the High King. And they had a pretty good duel sequence where Peter beats Moritz, and it's supposed to be to the death, but Peter decides to save the guy's life, and meanwhile Moritz's aide decides to stab Moritz in the back, which he literally does, kills him, and then blames Peter for it. Hey, they killed our king, because Moritz took over as king of Narnia. And so since that was Moritz in the best, when Moritz gets killed by his own aide, and then that's when they had a whole big battle going on, and then that's when Aslan appears to Lucy, and decides to help them out, and that's what happens. Of course, they do win in the end, of course, like they did in the second film, but there's one plot point that I actually missed, was they gathered at what was the stone table in the first film. Now they made like a tomb, an underground tomb out of it, but where the stone table was, where Aslan was, killed by the White Witch and came back to life, and the stone table cracked. They had the remnants of the stone table and a tomb and a tribute to Aslan, and they were in there, and one of the dwarfs decides to screw everybody, or whoever remains of the people who lived in Narnia. I'm talking about the creatures, elves, dwarves, animals, whatever, and try and bring back the White Witch. I use Caspian to bring back the White Witch. We need human blood to bring her spirit back from the netherworld. And of course, Edmund comes in and stops it, and gets Peter, Edmund, and Susan. They all stop what was happening, kill the dwarf, and stop the White Witch from coming back. And it's the same actress who played the White Witch in the previous movie. Came back, and I thought that was a pretty good sequence to bring. I guess maybe trying to tie it in with the previous movie, and I thought that was a pretty good bit. Not the greatest bit, but at least it was interesting to see the White Witch again, and I thought that was a good bit. Well, I guess I had to backtrack for that. But of course, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy, of course, they won again, and they found out that from Aslan, Susan and Peter, who were the two oldest ones, found out that they learned all they could learn from this land, and if they go back to their world in England, they're not going to be able to come back to Narnia anymore, because they learned all that they can possibly learn in Narnia. So they have to decide whether or not to stay in Narnia, or go back where they belong. And Peter and Susan both decided, along with Edmund and Lucy, to go back home where they belong. And except for Edmund and Lucy, Aslan told them, look, you guys could come back another time, or possibly another time, when the time is ready. He says to them, and they go, oh, how come not all of us? And of course, Aslan says, because they learn all they can learn here. There's no more they can learn. They learn everything that's learnable. The whole story. And so they decided to leave, and Caspian says to, or Susan having to fall in love with Caspian a little bit. So Caspian says, "Oh, why don't you come with us to our world?" And he goes, "No, we're gonna stay here." So Peter pretty much passes the torch as High King of Narnia to Caspian in a way. And so all four of them decide to go back, and they go back to where they were, and there's the train station, and the effects transport back to the train station and vice versa at the beginning of the film. I thought that was some of the best. Like I said, 30 years ago they couldn't do that in the movie. Like 30 or 40 years ago with this. And the advent of those special effects today with computers and the CGI and it's unbelievable today compared to what they could do 30 or 40 years ago. It was almost impossible to do these movies 30 or 40 years ago. It's a live action film. And as much as I like the first movie, this movie is not that bad in terms of continuing the story. What's disappointing is the fact that that there was going to be a third movie, and there was. I haven't really fully seen that film, so I can't do a proper review on it. But in the third film, that Peter and Susan were not going to be there in the third film. Really a shame, because of course Susan is going to be not too bad looking young girl, and she's not going to be in there, and neither was Peter. But the movies is not bad, especially when the beginning part when they were alluding to the other adventures and the adventures they had previously in the first film. And Peter says, "I can't believe it was a king in another world, another time, and here I'm just a nobody." I mean, he had that frustration there. And also the other kids had that frustration too. That hey, we were such big shots over there, and here were nobodies. Which I think every teenager feels that way almost. There was a big shot in one school, and then when they graduate, go to high school or college, now they're not going to a big shot. That's what they dealt with in this film, and especially in the beginning. And then we go back to we're back here, and the first reason, I thought I got used to my life in England, and now I'm back here. As soon as this, I thought we were all finished being here after that deal. And of course, you notice how, especially Lucy, since she was the youngest, that she went back to her previous height and not being a grown-up anymore. She was disappointed that she's not a grown-up anymore, and wondering how come she reverted when they went back to Narnia and they didn't go back to when they were before, the previous ages and stuff. But like I said, I thought this was a good film, decent follow-up. And of course, I've seen bits and pieces of the last film. But if I ever see the last movie in the series, then I'll do a proper review of it then. So now I ran different mats here. I'm all over the place in this video. But this is my review of the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. Please check on the video. Please rate it. Feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel. Please forward this video on your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com. It's all WDY.com. The homepage, your rally reviewer, Christine Moore. And please check out all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.